Hey everyone, this is the read aloud for the Introduction to West and Central African Geography. Okay, this is a longer one, like I said before in the instructional video. It is about 5 pages, so I'm going to break the read aloud into 2 videos, just like we had for, because the reading is broken into 2 days. So if you want to do it all in one day, you can click on both videos, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and read through it and then break it into 2 parts. So anyways, I hope you guys are all having a great day. Let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling. All right. Starting at the beginning, Introduction to West and Central African Geography. The continent of West Africa is split into different regions. The second region we'll be looking at is Western and Central Africa. Western and Central Africa consists of 24 different countries. This is the region with the most countries. So I'm going to go ahead and read through them. That way you guys kind of know how they're pronounced. And then we'll take a look at the map right here, okay? So here are the 24 different countries. Angola, Benin, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast, or pronounced in French, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, I'll repeat that, Niger, Nigeria, Republic of the Congo, Sao Tome and Principe, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and Togo. Okay? So, Western and Central African countries are very different from the other countries in Africa when it comes to climate and geography. And if you guys want to go ahead and take a look, give you about 15 seconds to look over this map, this is where all of those countries are. Okay? Please do take your time, look over it. There are a lot of them. All right? Let's go ahead and dive in now. West and Central African physical features and climate. So physical features, once again, remember, are the way the land looks. Remember, think of that sexy map we've been talking about for a long time. All right, let's go ahead and start. Physical features. The physical features of West and Central Africa are rich and varied. They range from vast deserts to dense rainforest. Okay, so all the way from desert to very large rainforest. The world's largest hot desert, the Sahara, which you guys should remember, reaches down into West and Central Africa from the north. Okay, so if you look at the map, the Sahara would be up here, and it does reach down into the northern part of this region that we're reading about for today. Okay, between the dry areas, grasslands blend into lush tropical rainforests at this region's center. So in the center, okay, we'll be talking about this. It gets very, very heavy with rainforests. In contrast, the region's landforms do not have great variety. Much of the continent of Africa as a whole is a plateau. So most of this area of Africa, okay, is one tall plateau, very flat. Okay, although highland areas exist, no major mountain chains interrupt the plateau. So there are no major mountains in this area of Africa. West and Central Africa boasts some of the largest drainage basins in the world. A drainage basin is the entire area of land from which rainfall flows into a river or lake. The Chad Basin drains a huge area. Okay, so if you guys look up here, this is kind of the Chad area and the Chad Basin. At its center lies the large but shallow Lake Chad. You kind of see it right here. Lake Chad is the largest body of water in the Sahel. The Sahel is a semi-arid, fairly dry area that lies between the Sahara and the regions to the south that receive more rainfall. So kind of if you guys look like this area, okay, would be the Sahel, between the Sahara Desert and what will become forest and rainforest, okay? The Niger River Basin is the largest in Western Africa. More rain falls in some parts of the basin than in others. Heavy rain causes flooding at times in parts of the basin. So if you guys look here, here's the Niger River and here's the basin. It is the largest water basin in all of Western Africa. Okay? The huge Congo River drains most of Central Africa. So if you guys see, here's the Congo River on the map. Okay, and it drains almost all of this region. All right. Heavy rainfall feeds the Congo throughout most of the year. In fact, the Congo Basin hosts Africa's largest network of navigable rivers, or rivers that ships can pass through. Okay, so you can actually sail a ship up the Congo River into different parts of Central Africa. Okay. However, waterfalls and rapids can make the passage difficult and dangerous. Now, North African climate. Africa sits astride the equator. Okay. Roughly half of the continent is in the northern hemisphere, and the other half is in the southern hemisphere. This location strongly affects West and Central Africa's climate zones. A belt of rising air called the Intertropical Convergence Zone, or ITCZ. Let me say that one more time for you guys. Intertropical Convergence Zone. Okay, that's the ITCZ. Circles the equator. The rising air causes heavy rain to fall in the ITCZ around the globe. This band of rain moves north around July and south around February. The movement creates the wet and dry seasons of the tropics. Because Africa is so flat, each of the region climate zones gradually changes into the next. Okay, so you don't just go straight from desert to rainforest. It very slowly progresses over time into the new regions. And we'll take a look at that with the map in just a second. A tropical wet climate can be found along the equator. Rain falls plentifully all year long, especially in the spring and fall. Temperatures are warm year-round. In the West and Central Africa, dense rainforests grow in the tropical wet zone. The forests teem with birds, reptiles, and insects. Mammals such as monkeys and flying squirrels make their home in the forest canopy, or topmost layer. Large animals such as elephants, gorillas roam the forest floor. Farther from the equator, the climate gets drier bit by bit. North and south of the tropical wet zone lies North and south of the tropical wet zone lies the tropical and dry zone. This area always gets less rain than the warmer and wetter tropical areas. Temperatures are high all year, but vary more summer to winter. This climate supports the savanna, a landscape of flat grasslands with scattered trees that can survive dry spells. Near the tropical forest, the savanna has tall woodlands. Farther from the forest, the woodlands give way to dry grassland with scattered low shrubs. The band of rain barely reaches the Sahel. The Sahel has only a short rainy season of at most 3 months. Less rain falls than on the savanna. Daily temperatures are high. As is in the desert, evening temperatures can dip very low. Beyond the bands of precipitation lie the arid zones. These desert regions get very little rainfall. Brutally hot days contrast with very cold nights. Not surprisingly, fewer animal species live in the drier regions, especially in the desert where vegetation is sparse, meaning there's not very many plants. Small mammals such as rats and hares are found along with gazelles, hyenas, and ostriches. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this climate map, and hopefully I can explain this a little clearer for you guys. So the tropical wet is this dark green. So right in here, we have very, very, very heavy tropical rainforest, and the same right here on the tip of Liberia. Okay? Then after that, as we get a little further away from the equator, and that's this line right here. Let me go ahead and draw it in for you guys. I'll make it a nice blue. Okay, the equator kind of goes along here, pardon for my not so straight line. That's the equator. All right. As we get further and further away from this line, okay, we move into less and less rain. So then we have the tropical wet and dry area, which is all this lighter green, okay? And that's, when you guys think of like rainforest Africa, this is mostly what you're thinking about, are these kind of areas, this dark green area and this light green area, okay? However, as we move further away from that, specifically down here in the south, we get a humid subtropical. So it's still very humid. We have lots of lots of rain, but not as much as we would have in these other regions, okay? And this starts to turn into what is the savanna. When you guys think of like Lion King kind of Africa, that's what we're talking about with savanna. We're going to get into that, especially with this area, the humid subtropical and the semi-arid. Next, we do have the semi-arid, which is this kind of yellow band here. Basically, you still have some rainfall here, but not as much. It's starting to get more deserty. Okay, and then lastly, we have the arid area, which is that, oh, how do you pronounce it? It is the, let me find it again. The Sahel. Okay, the Sahel is this area mixed with some desert. Okay, so Sahel is almost desert, not quite. There's still a little bit of rain there for about 3 months of the year, but it is transitioning finally into that desert. Okay, so as you guys can see, it's not just rainforest to desert. It takes its time and slowly progresses from rainforest into desert. And that's what Western and Central Africa is like because it is so flat. There's not very much change in the land. Okay? All right, hopefully that explains it to you guys. Also, we have this picture here, which kind of shows the climate of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Okay, you see how much rainfall that gets, and that is that rainforest area. Okay, there's only 3 months out of the year where it's not getting a lot of rain. Okay, and as you can see, the temperature is pretty consistently hot, in the 70s to 80s, or even higher. Okay, so that's what's happening. Excuse me, over here. So it stays in the 70s and 80s. And then when you get into Niger, which is up here, okay, it's pretty hot year round. The lowest it gets is 70s, and there's very, very, very little rainfall. If you compare this rainfall to over here, it's kind of crazy. The lowest rainfall in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is the highest amount of rainfall in Niger. All right, let's keep moving. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and pause. This is the end of part 1.